everybody. I am Bob Fryer here in the AAPEX studio. I want to thank our sponsors, Repairify and Great Water 360 Auto Care. And the nice thing about this segment, we actually get to thank them in person. We've got Jim Dykstra, he's the CEO of Great Water Garages, and we've got Chris Chesney, VP of Training for Repairify. Gentlemen, good to have you here.
Thank you.
Good now, you formed sort of a super group. Tell me why it is that you guys decided to come together and develop new technology, helping the aftermarket industry to repair vehicles. I'll start with you, Jim.
I think it really started when, for us, we have a lot of auto repair facilities, and I grew up in the business. Having the right tool, having all the OE tools is almost impossible for every shop. The cost doesn't make sense. So when we evaluated, we said, okay, we have to find a way to have access to these tools. So it's been an issue in the industry for a long time. We're used to having the all makes tools that have been around for a long time, but it doesn't do the OE solution. So as we saw Repairify, we were doing in the body shop space, we were like, wow, that's amazing. Can we revamp that to work for the repair side? So by joining with them, we're now using it in a way that's our technicians leveraging our OE tools that are now virtualized across our entire portfolio. So it really simplifies, it gives my technicians the ability to have the right tool at the right time.
Chris, I'll give you a chance to respond.
Well, I think the challenge that Jim has on the mechanical side is always just that. I can't afford to own every factory tool in every shop that I have and maintain them and keep them up to date, make sure I've got somebody with IT technology skills to be able to make them work every time, and at the same time, have the people in every store to make them work. I need to bring the right tool and the right talent together, and this industry is really becoming complex. I mean, we see it every day. The vehicle has more technology on board today than most of the technology you think is rampant. If you compare an F-35 aircraft with today's modern vehicle, the F-35 is a pretty simple machine compared to a brand new F-150, for instance. So giving them the ability to access the information they need, the tools that they need, when they need them, and leverage their talent that they have in their shops just makes sense from a business perspective.
There must have been some sort of an impetus for you all to decide to come together. What was happening right now, the way things are done right now, some problem that you both saw and said, you know what, if we put the two of us together, we can fix this?
It was really the gap. I mean, the all makes tools, they do a great job 80% of the time. But you can't really run an efficient business when 20% of the time you cannot get the car out the door. So as the proliferation of these modules on these cars continues to expand, I mean, you can't put a window switch in a GM Suburban without programming it. So we have to have the access to the equipment to be able to program that part when it goes on the car. The all makes goes 80% of the time, it fits the narrative. It's that 20% gap where we were having to send our customers' cars to a dealership to get the part programmed. And there's no reason we should ever send a car out the door. So with them and with their technology, we can access those OE type of situations, that 20% gap, live on demand without having to have every OE tool in the facility. The aftermarket's always been good at adapting to the new technologies. This is different. We have to have access to the right technology to fix the car. Without that access, we can't fix the car.
Chris?
Jim makes a really good point. We've always adapted. We've adapted in all the years I've been in the business. We've always been faced with different technologies that come along and make us think, oh my gosh, I need to get out of this business, I need to sell all the shops, I need to just stop working on cars. But then somebody comes along and finds a solution. And the challenge today with most shops is I can't find technicians, I can't afford all the technology, and really what our technology, which is not new, what our technology does is it brings that OE tool and skilled technician together at the fender of the car at the right time so that you don't have to offload or send that vehicle away, because you're not making much money when the car goes off the lot. You're actually being charged for that time. Somebody else is charging you to do that service where you can control all of that. And so the technology puts control back in the shop owner's hands, and at the end of the day, it serves the consumer better than any of the other models could.
And I would add, the calibration market is starting to pick up in this industry, and without having access of that 20% gap, you cannot calibrate a car. You can have all the equipment, but if you don't have the OE ability to turn a module on to wake up to calibrate, we can't do it. So for us in our calibration centers, we're putting this in there so we have access to that in that real time as well, not just when we're repairing cars in the bay.
Every time there's some advancement in technology, some things fall off, but some things get an awful lot better. Is this going to streamline and make auto repair shops that much better? How's it going to affect those shops?
No, absolutely. Per rooftop, you give the technician, our technicians are brilliant. I mean, we can't undersell the fact these technicians are fantastic, but they have to have the right tool. So to have the right access of an OE solution when needed in our bays makes our technicians much more efficient. It amplifies their ability to get cars out the door. And as the vehicles per bay count keeps going up, I mean, we're servicing more cars per bay than we ever have in history. We need to be efficient. And if you're waiting around for a tool, if I have to move a tool from one location to the other, it's dead time. It's all about efficiency. It's the turn of the car to get the car back to the customer the same day. We try and go same day on everything we do, unless it's a major repair. Without the right technology, we can't do that.
Yeah. When the tool's not connected to the vehicle and a technician's not asking questions of the controllers on board, the tool's not returning on the investment that you made in that tool. And tools aren't cheap today.
Yeah.
Some tools could be $25,000, $30,000 for a tool. Well, you've got to make that thing work for you. Otherwise, it's an expense that's sitting there not returning a profit.
Yeah.
So the technology really allows you to take the number of tools you need, the specific tools you need, and put them into action to serve your customer better.
Let me ask you this, what's the pushback? What's standing in your way of implementing this tomorrow?
Well, we're doing it today.
Yeah.
We're doing it in our locations today. It's a change, it's a shift from we have to have the physical tool in the location. And we will at times, but we know what kind of cars come into our shops.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of domestic vehicles. We may have the OE tools in that shop. But some locations do not work on a lot of Mercedes or Porsche or BMW. It doesn't make sense to have those tools there. So with this, for those one-offs, we have those tools in the cloud, leveraging their technology.
Right. So at the end of the day, it's just, again, it gets back to being efficient in the use of the tooling. It's being prepared so that when the tool and the technician are needed, at that moment, we can put them into action. And at the end of the day, it's also about making sure that you're prepared for the future. The one thing that the factory scan tool does is you may be working on 3, 4, 5-year-old vehicles most of the time, but when that brand new vehicle rolls in the door, maybe it was at a collision center down the street and you've got to do a calibration on that vehicle, you need the factory tool to be able to service it, because the aftermarket takes 2 to 3 years to bring that into the software, and that factory tool has it at the next update.
Absolutely.
Chris, let me ask you just one last question, because I would imagine, part of your job description is training, and I would imagine that this creates a tremendous challenge. Every time new technology comes along, you got to be out there training.
Well, I think half the time a training issue is not really a training issue, it's a frustration issue that a technician has with a tool that can't do the job, and they continue to fight the battle to try to just get it fixed. The attitude of most technicians in the Bay is, I'm going to fix this thing. They'll go on safari and waste 2 hours because they don't want to be defeated.
Yeah.
And by putting the right tool in their hands, they have a chance to fix it quickly, because the answer's right there. They're not trying to find something that won't be in the tool, in the aftermarket tool, for another 2 years. So it just provides that level of efficiency, which gives them confidence that, that may be a brand new car. I haven't seen that system yet, but I have the confidence that I can talk to the computer and ask questions about
Copy
it.
that.
Yeah.
Jim, if I go downstairs here at the Venetian Expo and I go to Joe's Garage, what is it I'm going to see down there?
You'll see it in action. We have not just a video, we have it live showing how it works. And I think the important part is to see how simple it is. It's so simple. It sounds scary and big and complex. It's not. I mean, what happens in the back end probably is, but for us at the shop level, it's very simple. It's use the all makes tool until you can't. When you can't, you go into the stack and you log into an OE tool. It's really simple. It's efficient, and it's extremely cost effective. It's great to see. So we welcome anyone to come in, and we'll show you demos all week.
I love it. Jim Dykstra, Chris Chesney, gentlemen, thank you so much. And again, always thanking our sponsors, Great Water 360 Auto Care and Repairify. I'm Bob Fryer. We'll see you right back here at the AAPEX studio.